Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I am a part of the Heather B Daydream Birthday Hop. And for the My Little Scrapbook store, a bunch of us are using the Daydream collection from Cocoa Vanilla and doing a spread in honor of Heather B's birthday. So we'll have a list of all the other designers that are playing along down there. But hopefully you'll enjoy this, and I think you're going to like what we end up coming up with. So Heather is always doing two-page spreads, and so I decided that I would not only use the same collection as her as part of the hop, but that I would do a two-page spread. So I'm going to do a two-pager utilizing this collection. The other thing I'm doing is I am trying to use up some chipboard pieces. So I am coloring with Distress Oxides a floral chipboard, and I used the sage, the bundled sage, tattered rose, and tumbled glass, and you'll see what those look like in a little bit. So because I'm doing a two-pager, I kind of wanted to have a solid background. I think that helps kind of bring a two-pager together for me. And I didn't want to go with white because I really like all the colors in this paper, and I kind of wanted to have more of a colorful background. So instead, I picked a pale pink that's featured heavily in the Daydream collection, and I'm using that. I went with this paper that kind of looks like raindrops, and it probably is supposed to be raindrops, but I'm going to end up using it in a couple of different ways. And these are pictures of my Ireland trip. So if you've been following me on Facebook at all, or on Facebook, on YouTube for a while, you'll know that I am trying to finish a trip from 2014 that we took to Ireland. It was a 10-day trip. We have thousands of pictures, and I am trying my hardest to get this album done. I printed the pictures at the beginning of 2020, thinking that I would just do the album in one of these crops, and then lockdown happened, and all of the things that have happened, and I didn't get this scrapbook done. So I am really focusing on getting this scrapbook done through as many different crops as I can this year. So the particular Ireland story here is when we went to Ireland. We stayed for 10 days, and we tried to stay at a bunch of different places. We stayed in big cities in Dublin, and we just stayed like in a Hilton. We stayed in a little bed and breakfast down by the water in Cork, and then we splurged for 2 nights, and this was the most expensive hotel days of the entire trip, and we stayed in a castle, Abbeyglin Castle, and it was extravagant, and the room was crazy, and the views were amazing. There was no Wi-Fi, and we had no reception, and it was just this beautiful kind of escape from reality. So these pictures were taken when we got there, and there's a little throne that John's sitting on, and then you can see the view in this beautiful fountain. And we really enjoyed it there. It was, like I said, very expensive, and I'm not sure I would do it again, but we wanted just to have different experiences of places when we went to Ireland. So I also saw that in that throne that he's sitting on, there's this kind of regal design on top of it, and I wanted to mimic that with this border punch that I had. So I took some of the yellow paper that's in the kit in the collection, and I cut the border punch. And originally I was thinking that I would do just 2 horizontal stripes and have the border punch be on top of one and on the bottom of the other. You're going to see that I end up flipping that. Then one of the things I love about the Cocoa Vanilla paper, and this is the second collection I've had of theirs, is the cut apart pages, because they're not just 3x4 cards or 4x6 cards. They are a collection of word strips and 12 1-inch long, 1-inch wide long strips, banners, word phrases, cut aparts, all kinds of things. And so what I want to do here is utilize the cut apart, which has all the different banners, and then some of the other long strips of colored paper, and try to see what I can do to make this work. Now I know I needed to bring in another color, so there's this beautiful kind of blue floral, and I'm going to use that to back the photos. I'm going to save you from watching that and not make you watch me back all the photos. But after I've backed all the photos, then I go ahead and just take the left side of the page first. So on this side, it's going to be the two pictures of us, the picture of John in the little throne, and then us together. And I really like this cut apart with these flags. So the one that says sweet, and the one up there that says love you, and then that one says yay. And I just think it's cool just to have those, and it's a super easy way to just add a little bit to your photos without having, and that one says fun up there, without having to like get into an ephemera pack. It's just part of the paper. I'm going to use this rainbow piece and put it as the bottom border here, and I think it pulls all of the colors together, so you're going to see all the different colors of the page. So I'm kind of building this page almost as a page by itself. So here is that tattered rose chipboard that I talked about from before, and so this was just a unfinished chipboard, and I used the Distress Oxide right on it, and I inked it up, and it ends up matching perfectly. So bundled sage, tattered rose, and then tumbled glass are the three that I use. They match perfectly with this collection. Also, oh, I'm blanking on the yellow, but there's one of the yellows matches perfect. It's not mustard seed. It is, oh dear. Well, anyway, I will get it and I will link it below. But all of the different colors of Distress Oxides, a lot of the pastel-y ones end up matching really well here. So, you know, you should just be able to find ones and match and make it work. So the other thing that they have in the Coco Vanilla Studios is they have these big, huge word titles. So instead of giving you thickers or stickers for titles, they give you ephemera words. So you can make your own titles, mix and match. And so I chose The Good Life because I think that kind of, you know, we were in a castle, we were living the good life. I think that was, you know, my other option was Moving On Up. I wish I could have spelled that, but they didn't have that. Now, I cut this rainbow thinking that I would use the other part of it. I ended up not being able to. But so now I have to figure out how to measure this or get this just right. So I actually do the one thing I almost never do, and I pulled out that T-square ruler just to make sure it looked right. And I think, you know, I'm not usually one who uses the T-square ruler, but this is one of those opportunities when I think it was important to go ahead and pull it out. I am going to back this on a little bit of fun foam just to give it some dimension. And the page kind of looks a little washed out in the light. I think this was night when I was recording this, and I don't have the greatest light, but it's really vibrant in person, and it's just kind of a real pretty colors that you see. So I'm bending back the other photo, and we're just going to build this page. You know, this particular album, the one thing I will say is that we did a blog while we were on this trip. So for every day that we were gone, I have a blog post. And what I'm doing in my album is I'm printing that blog out to put with the pages. So a lot of these pages are not going to have a lot of journaling because I've already told the story in the blog that I have. So this is really about kind of creating and just having a place to store the photos and really making it look pretty. So when I look back at it, you know, in a couple years, I'll remember, you know, the fun we had in Ireland, and I can read the blog post and then just see these kind of pretty pages. So most of the time my pages have more journaling than these do, but that's the reason. So I'm going to go ahead and stick down The Good Life. I do love that these are just, you know, basically die cut ephemera pieces for the titles. A lot of times those sticker titles I just struggle with, you know, they don't stick, and then you have to find a way to put them on, and then they're too thick, and then you have to cut them apart, or they, you know, they fall off. But this is just, you know, paper, so it works out well. I think the last thing I'm going to do on this one is add a few enamel. Oh, I'm going to have to glue that down. Now the chipboard I do glue down with wet glue. It just sticks a lot better. I've tried to use my tape gun before on the chipboard, and it just doesn't work as well as the wet glue does. I am going to add some enamel dots. I think I have the date written up there for my page. Sometimes I'll date these pages even though I do have the dates on the blog posts. So I was also doing a challenge for the Victoria Marie Wizard crop in October, and that challenge called for me to also have enamel dots on my page, so I added those at the last minute. Those are not part of the Daydream collection. So you can see here, I'm starting with thinking, okay, I'm going to do that horizontal, and then I realize I have three horizontal photos, and it would just look a lot better to have the strip of paper vertical with that anchoring border strip on the right hand side, and then be able to have those photos down down the left hand side of the page. I do cut off one of them to make them fit. I'm going to back one of them, and then I'm going to just start adhering everything down. I'm not going to make you watch that whole process, but this is just kind of an easy page to put together. And once again, I'm kind of treating like this like its own page. I'm making sure I build it and then it looks good by itself. And I think if you are doing a two-page layout, either you need to treat it as one huge canvas and make sure you build it all together, or treat it as two canvases and then make sure they look good together. And that's kind of how I took this particular approach. Sometimes when I do a two-page, it's just one big huge layout. So there's the tumbled glass hearts that I inked earlier. And with this particular page, I went ahead and added a cute little enamel dot heart. And I wanted to go ahead and pull out some of the other ephemera that came with Daydream just so you could see it. One of them is these metal flare pieces. So they have a lot of metal, they have 6 metal flare that come with it. There's the one that I happen to use has a heart on it. It's really good mix of textures in these kits, and I enjoy that part of it. I think the last kit I had maybe had bows. So it's always a little bit of different when you get a cocoa vanilla kit because you can get a lot of different textures and things. So I was looking at the stickers and seeing if there's anything there, and then I was looking at the paper strips that I cut earlier, and I couldn't really find anything that I liked. And then I remembered I do have the words that I had cut before, those banners, and I'm going to go ahead and use those again, and that's going to tie both sides of the page together. So this time there's a rainbow and I think a heart, and the word lovely. So I'm going to use those. Now, after I get those 3 kind of situated, or 4 kind of situated, I should have stopped because I really like how it looks. But I just wanted to open up this other ephemera pack. So I kept going. And I decided to continue to load up the page with more. Now, most of the time, more is more. I'm okay with that. But I think what you'll see here is maybe I went a little too far, but it's all such cute stuff. And that's part of the problem, is there's so much cute ephemera in here. I just felt like I had to put it all on. So there is a house because, we were at a castle and I thought that was appropriate. And there's a rainbow because it was such a beautiful day. And then for some reason I decided to add the moths because everyone needs a moth on their page. I'm not exactly sure why. But I just kind of added to those 3 blank areas and added some extra ephemera. So this is basically how the page ends. I do add some more enamel dots on there just to kind of complete that. But I will show you in just a second what the final layout looks like. I am happy with it. I think if I hadn't had the rainbow or the moths, I might be even more happy with it because I think in this case more might have been just a little too much. But at the end of the day, it is a great page, and I'm so excited to get to share this hop with the other My Little Scrapbook Store design team members. So please go down and watch the rest of these videos and like and subscribe to everyone because it's a really great group of ladies. So thank you so much for watching and have a great day.